Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. Today is March 30th, 2020, and welcome to the show. Anyway, listen, guys, I want to talk to you guys in a very logical, very progressional way this morning, and I want to emphasize a few points to you guys. Things are not looking good, and I'm going to get into it. Let's get the chart started right here and take a look. Now, this article came from the CBC Evening News, and we're going to go back to March 2nd, 2020. This is a while ago. This article's a little bit old, but they were speaking about what was going to happen in the future with this if something wasn't done with the coronavirus. And back in the time that this article was printed, I don't think there was very much in the United States, if any, a coronavirus. But the experts were warning for the future. Like, look ahead, guys, this is what's coming. And this is an article from the CBC Evening News of March 2nd. And they had an expert on there. And he says that coronavirus may infect up to 70% of the world's population, this expert warns. Okay, and so without reading the entire article, we're just going to take a look at some pertinent facts here in this particular article. And what we notice here is, according to the CBC News, they spoke to one of the country's top experts on the virus, Mark Lipich from Harvard University, who cautioned that 40 to 70% of the world's population will become infected. Now, I want you to take a look very carefully at what this expert said. He said 40 to 70% of the world's population will become infected. He used the word they will become infected. So we're going to go with that low ball number here of 40%. This gives us a solid number to work with, and that's what we're going to work with, the 40%, which is a low ball number. He's saying up to 70% of the world's population. And, I agree that this virus, that's exactly what it's doing. It's following exactly the path that he laid out here, but we're going to go with the 40%. Remember that, because we're going to lowball this. We're not looking to exaggerate things in any way. That's why we're going to lowball this, 40%. So, this article is very pertinent for us now. And so, let's take a look. I added up some numbers here. And here's my numbers. Let me focus in so you guys can see. Let me bring the chart in a little bit. Remember what we seen, what the expert said? Give me a second, guys. Bear with me. Okay, here's the numbers right here. There's 329.5 million people in the United States. So almost 330 million. 329.5 million people in the United States. So simply I ran that through the calculator. Well, let me focus in a little bit more even so you guys can really see these numbers. I ran that number through the calculator, 329.5 million people in the United States. And I entered into my calculator what's 40%. Because that's what they said would become infected, 40%, roughly. And you know what, guys? We're getting to that 40% of the Americans infected awfully fast right now through exponential growth, And so I came up with a number of 131.7 million people becoming infected in the United States, with 40% of the population of the United States becoming infected. And this thing, the numbers are very clear. They say that there's a 2% mortality rate. So this is the number I come up with, running it through the calculator with a 2% mortality rate and 40% of the population becoming infected, was 2,635,600. The mortality rate for the United States. That's what I came up with this lowball number. Okay, let me expand the charts out again. And I know you guys are probably a little bit shocked right now, because, and the reason why you should be shocked is, those are the numbers I come up with using data that's available to me by the experts that said that that's what would happen. And I'm going by the lowball number, okay? But why you should be very concerned is, I've also heard that New York City is 3 weeks away from peak infections. In other words, they're going to get to that 40% number probably within the next 3 weeks in New York. And the rest of America is only a couple of weeks behind New York. So say 5 weeks from now. So let's lowball it a little bit. Let's say 6 weeks. Okay? I mean, if we're lowballing one number, 40% instead of 70%, they're saying 70%. Let's lowball, then say it takes a little bit longer. Let's say it takes 6 weeks instead of what they've told us. And all the news media over the last couple of days have said New York City 3 more weeks to peak. Okay? To the peak. In other words, this thing's going to peak in 3 more weeks. So we're going to give it 6 more weeks for the rest of America, including New York, for us to get to the peak. So that's only a month and a half. One measly little month and a half from now, if my information is correct, we're going to be reaching the peak of this thing in the United States. And actually, to tell you the truth, New York's going to hit it in 3 weeks. So the rest of the country might only be a week or two behind. So I might even be underestimating how quick this thing's moving. Okay? And so this doesn't look good with all, and that was lowballing it. It could be 3, 4, 5 million, depending on, and how many, and those are the fatalities. And I mean, this is coming like a hurricane. Now, there's another thing to consider, okay, that I want you guys to consider. That's very important before we run through the markets. And this is possibly even something that's even more dreadful. If we expand our view out to the whole world, all of our lives we've been consumers. Products, and every time we need anything, we just go and buy it. Food, water, grocery stores are always full. If we need say we need a new TV remote control, we go on Amazon, and there's 1,000 different ones we can pick from, remote controls, everything we need. If we drive across America, down the freeway, you look on one side of the freeway, you see a factory. You drive a few hundred yards more, you see another factory, and then there's a factory on this side of the road and everything, all producing products and stuff. You go to China, it's even worse. Smokestacks everywhere, factories grinding out products like crazy. And then there's the farms, You see the tractors plowing the fields. Everybody's working. This is how it's been our whole lives. Suddenly, the whole world, nobody's working. Or very little. Where do all these products and everything, and food and everything else that's packaged and everything come from? It comes from these factories and these farms and everything that are constantly working. Suddenly, everything's quiet. As far as the eye can see, all these factories have stopped, and everything's stopping. Everything's in the process of stopping. Well, you guys know that it's a no-brainer what's coming next. Yes, we have inventories that we've built up from oversupply of different everything, But what's coming next is there's a little lag period while those inventories that are built up decline. In other words, declining inventories in all of these places where you buy everything like Amazon, everything else, right? And then all of a sudden, a few months from now, maybe a 2 or 3 months, just after we're starting to recover from all of this virus, then's going to come the empty shelves. That's when the empty shelves are going to come. Because right now we're going through inventories of everything, consuming, just like we've consumed our whole lives. But it's in the future, after we're starting to actually get over this thing, that's when there's going to be nothing available to purchase and everything. At the same time, guys, we're going to have the Fed injecting money to everybody, putting money in your bank accounts, doing everything that they can to keep the economy stimulated, producing all this funny money on one end, but nothing to buy with it on the other end. See, you're going to have this $2 trillion effect, where they've basically injected $2 trillion suddenly into the economy and nothing to buy with it. So it's a no-brainer where this is going to go. We're going to see prices double, triple, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the dollar is the strongest fiat currency anymore. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter that all these other fiat currencies are going to be bowing to the dollar, and the dollar's going to be strong, and the U.S. dollar index is going to be going higher and everything else. That doesn't matter. None of it's going to matter. The dollar's going to hyperinflate anyway, and so are all the other fiat currencies. But they're going to do even worse, because it's what you can buy with your dollar. And when products are all in short supply or not available, people will pay anything that is proven on a micro scale when you look at toilet paper. This is a canary in the coal mine for all the products disappearing, is when the toilet paper disappears. And what does the price go to? Well, this is going to happen all the way across the board with everything. This is what's coming in the next few months when inventories start to run out of everything. Everything that supplies our life, right down to the carrots you buy. Where's the carrots? I want to make something with carrots today, and there's no carrots. Or you might go down the aisle and I want this, I want that. There's nothing there. It's just everything's going to be gone. Because we're not working anymore. Nobody in the world is working. But we're still consuming. This is monumental. This is huge. Because one of the things we're probably talking about here is how much food inventory have they got to go around, and how long is that going to last? Because nobody's producing anything. But we're all still consuming. Let's go on to look at the markets today, What we're looking at here is 14.14 for silver today. It's down 29 cents. And it's the same thing for gold and silver. You already see silver's starting to go in short supply, so is gold. It's hard to get it. And the miners, these mines are what about these mines that produce, because we're going into this super depression, monster depression, these mines that produce things like copper, lead, zinc, tin, these are the mines that produce the most silver. But how many of them are going to continue to produce copper if copper prices fall? Oil prices are falling. Nobody's consuming any oil. Do you know how powerful this depression that we're going into is? The consumption of oil normally is 100 million barrels per day. It's dropped to 75 already. That's a 25% decline in the usage of oil. That's why you're seeing the prices drop. Let's take a look now at cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency, $176 billion. You know what? We didn't do gold. Let's do gold for a second here, Gold, $16.19 today. It's down $8.40. But cryptocurrencies is doing good right now. $6,316 for Bitcoin. It's on a bit of a roller coaster ride, but it's holding its head above water, It's doggy paddling. That's what it's doing. You know, if a person doesn't want to drown, some people have had to doggy paddle for an awful long time to keep their head above water, and that's what cryptocurrency's doing right now. It's doggy paddling. Let's take a look now at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's up 340 points today at 21,977. Okay, that's what the Dow is doing today. Let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil, $20.15. But now with a 25% decrease in the amount of crude oil we use each day, you know, these producers of crude oil, they're going to have inventory builds. So price declines are kind of written in still, even further down, you know. Let's take a look at the U.S. Treasuries today. And we're looking at the long end of the yield curve falling, the short end rising. Let me see what we got here. Barely above zero. The U.S. 10 years at 0.60 and the U.S. 30 years at 1.19 on the Treasury yields today. So let's take a look at the U.S. dollar index is 99.11. So like I say, this dollar could stay up nice and high against these other fiat currencies. These other fiat currencies aren't going to do as good as the dollar. The dollar's going to do better. But we got to examine closely what the dollar is actually going to go through in the next little while, with everything being in short supply, because the world's not producing anything. Stores are not going to be able to get anything to sell. And so, but the dollars are going to continue to pump out there. The Fed's going to make sure that everybody's got ample dollars in their pocket, chasing after goods and services that are in short supply. You know, some things are going to continue to fall in price, but they're going to be very few. Most of everything you buy is going to go way up in price. That's inflation. That's inflation. So when you get this effect, it's going to be so profound. You know, it doesn't really matter what the dollar does on the dollar index anymore. It just means the other fiat currencies are going down a little bit quicker than the dollar, and they're all going down in the amount you can purchase with them. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the almost said Delta Report. No, this is Financial Turmoil Explained. We are in the financial turmoil right now that I talked about for the last years and years and years now. I've been talking about this coming in the future, you know. And now it's here. It's not quite playing out the way I thought it would, you know. Like one of the examples why I say it's not playing out quite like I thought it would. I thought that when we went into shortage of supply on gold and silver, that the price would moonshot because there's none available hardly to buy, you know, in the real physical metal. Boy, was I wrong. Because we're out of supply practically on gold and silver. You try to buy the physical right now. I mean, there's none being produced hardly by the mines, especially silver. But the price, you know, is remaining static and remaining cheap as the Fed's pumping out tremendous amounts of dollars. I don't think this is going to last very long. I can't see it lasting very long. Things right now. The world is on a roller coaster ride, and what I mean by that is the roller coaster goes down and goes up, you know, and everything's just going a little bit wacky right now, and there's going to be some huge movements coming in the very near future. Things just can't stay like they are right now with no productivity in the whole world. A virus that's completely on the increase, and it's got us caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. If we start to go back to work and increase productivity, well, the virus is going to eat us. I honestly, I'm sitting here and I feel like a caveman. You know, the caveman felt this way. You know, they were in their cave, huddled in their cave, the caveman. And you knew if he went outside, there's a T-Rex waiting to eat him. You know, gobble him up. But you got to get outside. You can't completely live in your cave forever. You got to go out there sooner or later and face that T-Rex. The T-Rex is the virus, and it's waiting to gobble you up. And so here I am, huddled in my studio, you know. But there's a T-Rex roaring out there that's ready to eat you, and you guys are all feeling it the same way as me. You know, I guarantee you. I mean, this. What did they do? What did they do? Where did this virus come from? What did they do to us all with this thing? This thing is a monster. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.